Cesar Millan, who was once famous as the dog whisperer, shocked everyone in the courtroom when he passed out right after hearing the decision. A lot of people were shocked and even started to cry. People all over the United States were shocked by the shocking news from the Los Angeles courts that spread overnight. He is famous for training dogs and is loved by many. But now his job and reputation are facing the biggest problem they have ever had. Do you think someone who was once thought to be an expert in this field can get through this? Cesar Millan, who was known as the dog whisperer and was loved by many, cried when he heard the decision in a controversial case. People in the courtroom were quiet, but people outside were asking a lot of questions about what was right and what was true. Millan used to be a beacon of hope for families who were eager to get control of their pets. He has helped rehabilitate a huge number of dogs that were thought to be beyond help, bringing happiness and reunions to many homes. That's not all. He's changed the lives of dogs and the hearts of millions of animal fans around the world. Because he is cool and patient, he has been able to help dogs that didn't seem like they could be saved. Jennifer Anderson, 56, and other Millan fans could not hide how they felt. She said that even though her mother has Alzheimer's, she can still recognize Millan's soothing voice whenever his show comes on. A lot of people see him as more than just a dog teacher. They look up to him and trust him as a friend. But Millan's path hasn't always been easy. Authorities started their investigation almost a year ago when they looked into reports about the way he trained people at the center. At first it was just a normal check. As the claims of money and foreign ties have grown, however, the case has also become more difficult. However, Millan says he is innocent. He says that all of the dogs at the center are given the best care possible and that he has never done anything bad to the animals that he has spent his whole life guarding. Sadly, he said all of the cases involved dogs with serious health problems that were going to be put down before they came to the center. His story isn't just about a dog trainer, it's also about a person, a hero who had to deal with the hardest thing he had ever done. Will the truth come out? Can someone who millions of people trusted get through this storm and keep doing his job? People are still watching, and it's likely that the answer won't come out for a while. In court, Dr. Maria Rodriguez, a doctor who works for the Millan Foundation, said some very shocking things. She said that the dogs Millan took in had been through terrible things like being starved, beaten, and even made to fight in bloody rings. A lot of them had mental and physical problems that could never be fixed. But Millan didn't think these animals were lost. They were lives that should have been given another chance. Those were the cases he took on. Even though he knew the risks, he couldn't turn his back on these poor animals. But even though Millan was accused of many things, one touching story was missed by the mainstream media. It was about how he saved not only a dog, but also a whole family from a terrible loss. A 58-year-old elementary school teacher from Colorado named Sarah Thompson showed up in court with tears running down her face. She told the terrible events that happened in October 2018. It started out as a desperate attempt to save Bear, her daughter's huge Rottweiler mix, but finished with a miraculous rescue. In the years after Thompson's daughter Emma's husband died in a car accident, Bear was the only thing that helped her deal with her grief. The dog helped her feel better and gave her reason to live. But as an adult, Bear started to act in a very aggressive way, attacking both people and other dogs. The family got help from trainers and even thought about giving Bear medicine, but his situation didn't get better. When the dog jumps at a delivery person, things get really bad, and animal control gives the owner one last warning: either do something about Bear's bad behavior or agree to death. Emma is crushed and is already mourning the death of her loved one. She's about to lose her only friend. You should know that Mrs. Thompson wrote to Cesar Millan's show out of desperation and didn't even hope for an answer. His team called her instead and said they were going to film a show at her house. Miller came to their mountain home on a cool fall morning. He kept a close eye on Bear for the first hour, studying every move. He became quiet all of a sudden, though. He asked Emma in a quiet voice, "Have you been getting headaches lately?" The family was shocked by the question that came out of the blue. He then asked, "Is it warmer inside than usual?" Emma slowly responded that everyone had been getting headaches lately, but they thought it was because they were worried about Bear, which made them stressed. Millan gave a small nod and suggested opening a window to let some fresh air in. He then pushed Mrs. Thompson to the side and whispered, "I think your family is poisoned by carbon monoxide." She couldn't believe what she was hearing at first. But when Millan told her that headaches, feeling sleepy, flushing, and even changes in Bear's behavior could be signs of harmful gases in the house, she got very worried. He told someone on the team in a quiet voice to call for help while continuing to work with Bear to make it look like a normal training session. Soon after, firefighters arrived and the family was shocked by the results of the tests. Carbon monoxide levels that were too high were leaking through the house because of a major problem with the heating system. He told them that no one would wake up the next morning if they stayed in the house one more night. The defense lawyer asked Thompson how she was so sure that Millan was the one who first saw the danger. Thompson gave a strong answer. When the rescuers got there, they asked who knew what was wrong. Cesar also said he had seen a dog act aggressively for no clear reason in a similar situation before. Millan did more than just warn people about the dangerous gas. He kept an eye on the Thompson family's health for months after the accident, both to see if they were getting better and to make sure Bear could get used to his new life. As soon as the poison gas stopped hurting Bear, he became much less violent. With Millan's careful direction, changed into a therapy dog at Thompson's school, helping kids who had trouble reading and dealing with their feelings. As Mrs. Thompson stood in court, she looked right at the jurors and her voice broke with tears. He saved more than just Bear, he also saved my daughter, my granddaughter, and me. You might send this man to jail because he saw a danger that even doctors miss when they do regular checkups. He did it quietly and calmly, without trying to get attention. Now you know who Cesar Millan really is. When she spoke, the whole courtroom went silent. There was more to this story than just a dog trainer. It was about a man who cared deeply about people and animals and put their needs ahead of everything else. Will the law be on his side, though? We will have to wait and see. Gloria Sanchez's speech during the hearing may have been the most moving part. Sanchez is 62 years old and is a kindergarten teacher and mother of 3. Her voice was shaking as she talked about how Cesar Millan saved her son's life. The story was so moving that everyone in the courtroom was silent, and Millan herself was crying. When my son David was 4, he was attacked by a neighbor's dog. That was the end of everything good about him, Sanchez said as he tried not to cry. Even though the scars on his body healed, the fear was still there. David always had a fear of dogs. He wouldn't go to the park or to friends' houses if they had dogs. If he saw a dog on the street, he would even freak out. He spent a lot of time alone because he was afraid, which caused him to develop serious anxiety and depression. David's family tried everything, from therapy to the newest treatments, but nothing worked to get him excited about life again. When David watched Cesar Millan's show one night, something about the way he was kind, patient, and understanding with the dogs caught his eye. He didn't run away in fear for the first time in years. Sanchez says that he really wanted to know why the dogs were acting that way. Because she had hope, she chose to call Millan's training center. The family didn't think they'd get an answer, but wonderful things happened. Cesar Millan himself called David and asked him to come to his farm. David slowly got used to quiet, friendly dogs, as Millan spent time with him over the course of a week. Nothing was rushed or forced. Instead, he slowly introduced the boy to 4-legged friends in a way that no one else had. Then, Millan sat down next to David one afternoon and said something that David would never forget. Honor is not fear. Fear is not respect. You won't be scared anymore once you know the difference. What he said changed David's life for good. The day the boy walked into the farm, slowly and with fear in his heart. He did leave though, and that's when he found his heart and reason for living. David Sanchez not only got over the bad things that happened to him as a child, but he also became a veterinary worker. He spent his whole life using animal therapy to help other kids who have been hurt, building on the good things Cesar Millan did. The last thing Gloria Sanchez said during her statement in front of the jury was an emotional message. Cesar Millan did more than just help my son get over his fears. We didn't think we'd ever be able to have a new life like they did. Do not take him away. A lot of families need him just as much as we did. There was a sad silence in the room. The story about a dog master was over, but about a man who lived his whole life to help people and animals find light in the dark. Cesar Millan has changed things as a dog teacher that go beyond making animals behave better. He has also helped people get back on the right track in life. Angela Martinez, a 54-year-old single mother, gave an emotional statement that proves this point the most. As she stood up in court, her voice shook as she talked about a mean German shepherd and how Cesar Millan saved her son from a bad road. It all began when my son Miguel turned 16. Martinez began to cry. His father left us many years ago and the anger hurt him. He stopped going to school to hang out with a group of people connected to a gang. As the days went by, the space between us grew. What started out as friendly chats turned into fights and slammed doors. In the middle of all the chaos, Rex, the family's German shepherd, started to change too. He started to act mean, getting angry at anyone who came near him and even hitting a neighbor's child. The family was given a choice by animal control. Either Rex's family could figure out how to make him behave better, or they could give him up for death.